Hello, second grade. Welcome back to Wit and Wisdom for Wednesday, April 8th. We have made it halfway through your second week of virtual learning. You have learned so many new skills and ways to learn when we are not together in our classroom. I have been seeing all of your work that you've been sending in, and it's amazing. So I am very proud of everybody for working so hard and stepping out of their comfort zone and trying something new. So thank you to scholars, and also thank you to all of your learning partners who are also trying this new way of learning out and helping you all do so well and continue your education. Let's jump right in today. Let's see, I am getting much quicker at being able to use our technology. So that is one way that Mrs. Kippis has learned to get better at learning virtually. So when we prepare to do our lesson, we need to start off by taking a deep breath and making sure our brain is ready to work. We take a deep breath, be ready to think, be ready to share your ideas with whoever your learning partner is today. Try and stay focused. I know it's hard, especially when it's getting nice outside. You might like to go outside and enjoy the weather, and look forward to our learning. I really, this is one of my favorite modules because I really like the science aspect of it, and I like all of the different stories that we're reading. So I think this is kind of a fun module to end our year out with Wit and Wisdom. Some things that you need for today: you need your quiet space so you can concentrate, your paper or your notebook and a pencil. If you have your Blue Wit and Wisdom book, make sure you've got that handy. You will need it. If you don't, that's okay. You can just use your notebook or paper. Your learning partner or someone to discuss our work with and to help you navigate the technology if you don't have that down quite yet. If you don't have any of those things, you can stop. Just pause your video and you can go get them and come back. What are our objectives for the day? So what do we want to know by the time we are done with this lesson? So by the time you are finished, you should be able to tell me the difference between an informative and a literary text. You should think about how food is going to nourish our body. Okay, so we've talked about how food how does food nourish us, but how does food nourish your body specifically? What does it do? All right, actively listen to the book, The Digestive System. The Digestive System book is very detailed. It's got a lot of science and interesting vocabulary terms in it, so you'll have to pay close attention. Develop some questions about the book. So I'm going to ask you to write a few questions that you have after we are done reading today. Our essential question. So keep this in your head the entire time we're reading. How does food nourish us? Nourish, we learned, was what happens when we provide food to live, grow, and stay healthy. So that's one of our vocabulary terms for this module that's going to be very important. We're thinking of all the different ways that food can nourish us. Some other important terms I want you to remember from yesterday: the system, a group of parts that work together, and digest. If you're breaking down the food so your body can have it to use. And then we have a compound word. We put those two together and we get a digestive system. So when all of those parts of your body work together to break down the food, we call that a system. So all those parts are working together. Your esophagus and your stomach and your intestines, everything's working together to help nourish your body. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little video today that's with the digestive system. So this book has some kind of detailed terms, and it's a little bit long. So if you feel like you are having a hard time focusing, you may feel free to pause the video and take a little break, and then shake out all your wiggles and come back when you are ready. Here we go. Let's just start just a little bit into our video today.
The Digestive System by Christine Taylor Butler. You may remember looking at this cover during the lesson we did during lesson 1. Now I would like you to think about, is this a literary or informational text? What makes you think so? Take a moment to think about if you think this is a literary or informational text and how you know. The digestive system is an informational text. I'm going to show you a page of this book and some of the pieces that helps me understand that this was an informational text. We are on pages 12 and 13 of the digestive system. Take a moment to look at this page. I would like you to think about, how does this page look similar or different to other informational texts you have read? You may have noticed that, like other informational texts, this has a diagram, but it also has labels for the diagram. You may have seen that in a previous informational text. You will see it also has a caption, which you may have also seen in another informational text, as well as chapter and chapter titles. You may have also noticed in other informational texts, the words that are important are in bold. Now that we have identified some of the aspects of this text that help you know that this is an informational text, we are going to review the essential question for this module. How does food nourish us? This is the essential question we will be working to answer throughout the module. In lesson 1, we talked about the word nourish, and that nourish means to provide food needed to live, grow, and stay healthy. Each set of lessons helps us learn about our topic in a different way. A focusing question will guide our learning for each set of lessons. Our focusing question for this set of lessons is, how can food nourish my body? What do you remember from our work in lesson 1 about the meaning of the digestive system? How might the digestive system be connected to our focusing question? Take a moment to pause the video and think, how does the digestive system connect to our focus question? Some connections you may have made are, food is in the digestive system when we eat. We can nourish ourselves when we eat. The digestive system is connected to the question because we nourish our body by digesting. We're going to continue to keep this focusing question in mind as we continue to explore the digestive system. Today, as we explore the digestive system, our content framing question is, what do I notice and wonder about this text? Because this text is a little long, we will be reading this text in 2 sections. Today, I will be reading pages 1 through 25. While I read, you will be doing some work around what you notice and wonder about this text. It will be a good time to practice active listening and make sure you are focused as I read pages 1 through 25. The title of this book is The Digestive System. Remember, as I read, you are going to think about what you notice and wonder and remain active listeners. Here's the table of contents. This shows us what the names of each of our chapters are. The first chapter we are going to read is chapter 1, It's a Gas. What makes you belch? Then we're going to move on to chapter 2, Your Food Processor. Why is chewing so important? Food's long journey. What happens when you eat a sandwich? What happens to a sandwich after you eat it? Chapter 1, It's a gas. You're having lunch with your grandparents. You're on your best behavior. But as you sip your soda, your stomach starts to feel strange. It feels very full. It aches. Then the worst possible thing happens. You belch loudly. Embarrassed? Probably. But don't feel too bad. It's your digestive system in action, and it's normal. Everyone belches. When you eat and drink, you swallow gas as well as food. It could be air. It could be carbon dioxide from a fizzy drink. Sometimes the gas comes back out as a burp or a belch. Your stomach doesn't need gas, so it gets rid of it. What it needs is food. Food is the fuel that provides you with energy. Your body needs energy from moving, breathing, and even thinking. Your digestive system breaks food into small units that can be used by your body. Whatever you can't use is passed out of your body as waste. Bacteria in your system change part of the waste into gas. Some of this gas is absorbed into your body, but other gases are released out of your digestive system through your rectum. It may seem embarrassing, however, all people have gas in their digestive tract. Food to gas. Some foods cause people to have more gas than other foods do. Beans, for instance, are not completely digested by your small intestine. When the beans reach your large intestine, bacteria begin to feed on them. The bacteria produce large amounts of gas in the process. Most gas passes quietly, but sometimes it builds up pressure. It comes out at high speed. This creates that familiar sound. Foods such as eggs and meat contain a lot of sulfur. When the bacteria in your stomach feed on these foods, they produce gases that smell like rotten eggs. Phew! We have finished chapter 1. I would like you to pause the video and talk with your learning partner about what you notice and wonder about chapter 1, It's a Gas. Pause the video to discuss what you noticed and wondered about chapter 1. Now I will continue.
Okay, scholars, I would like for you, because this is such a detailed book, in the video, she has us wait until the very end to do our notice and wondering. I would like for you actually to do it at the end of each section. So go ahead in your notebook and draw your notice and wonder chart. So it doesn't need to be a fancy notice and wonder chart. You'll just need to have your piece of paper, and you can put an N for notice. Okay, I'm gonna write digestive system at the top. Okay, and notice and wonder. So here's mine in my notebook. Okay, so you can put this in your notebook and write down 1 or 2 notice and wonders from the first section of your notebook, or of the book that she read. What are some things that you've noticed so far about gas in your digestive system? You can pause the video and then push start or push play again when you're ready to move on.
Reading chapter 2. As I read, make certain to think about what you notice and wonder. Chapter 2. Your food processor. Your digestive system has an important job. It breaks down food into tiny pieces. The nutrients, vitamins, and minerals in food can then pass into your bloodstream to be used by your body. Your digestive tract consists of 6 main parts: the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and rectum. Each part has its own task. Chew on this. Your body begins to break down or digest food as soon as it enters your mouth. Teeth break up the food into smaller pieces. Saliva is the liquid in your mouth. It is produced by salivary glands. It contains chemicals called enzymes. These start to break down starches in your food, even before it's swallowed. Saliva also contains a lot of water, which mixes with food. This helps the food slide down your esophagus smoothly. Muscles around your esophagus squeeze or contract in waves. This action pushes food down the esophagus to your stomach. Don't drink this juice. Your stomach is made of strong muscles. It can stretch to hold about 3 pints of food at one time. When food enters your stomach, the muscles squeeze and mash your food into smaller and smaller pieces. The cells lining your stomach release a liquid called gastric juice. It contains enzymes and hydrochloric acid. This acid is strong enough to dissolve metal. A mucus lining protects your stomach from the acid. Gastric juice begins to break down proteins. Proteins are found in foods such as meat, cheese, and eggs. Food stays in your stomach for 2 to 5 hours. Once it mixes with gastric juice, it is called chyme. The stomach releases chyme into the duodenum. This is the first part of the small intestine. A muscle called a sphincter releases to let a little chyme pass through. The sphincter then squeezes tightly to keep the rest in your stomach. It's small, but it's long. The small intestine is where most food leaves your digestive tract and enters your bloodstream. Before this happens, the food is broken down even further. Organs such as your pancreas, gallbladder, and liver help this digestion happen. Your pancreas squirts fluid into the duodenum. This fluid is rich in enzymes that break down fats, proteins, and starches. The fluid also contains a chemical that makes chyme less acidic. It is called sodium bicarbonate. Your gallbladder adds a liquid called bile to the chyme. Bile helps break up blobs of fat so that enzymes can get to it more easily. Bile is made in the liver. It is stored in the gallbladder. The small intestine has many folds. It is lined with millions of finger-shaped bumps called villi. This creates a huge surface area that can absorb large volumes of food quickly. Tiny blood vessels inside the villi absorb the nutrients straight into your bloodstream. Nutrient-rich blood goes from your small intestine to your liver. The liver converts the nutrients into substances needed by the body. It stores some nutrients. It releases them into the bloodstream when they are needed. The liver also breaks down harmful substances such as alcohol. The end of the line. By the time the food reaches the end of the small intestine, most of the nutrients have been absorbed. The parts that your body can't use pass into your large intestine. This intestine is only 5 feet long. However, It is about 3 to 4 inches wide. The large intestine is also called the colon. It absorbs minerals and water from indigestible food. This makes the waste more solid. Lumps of solid waste are called feces. Muscles push the feces along the colon to the rectum. They remain there until you go to the bathroom. Digestive tips. Eat at regular meal times, Chew your food well. Stop eating before you feel very full. The brain signals the feeling of fullness about 10 minutes after you're actually full. Relax. If you are relaxed, your body will produce more gastric juice. Sit up straight when you eat so that your digestive tract is not cramped. Avoid drinking lots of liquids half an hour before or after your meals. Don't eat late at night. It takes your body longer to digest food when you are asleep. Food's long journey. It's lunchtime. You take the first bite of your sandwich and start chewing. You wash down that mouthful with some milk. However, swallowing is just the beginning of the journey. It may take 20 to 30 hours for this food to digest completely and for the waste to leave your body.
Scholars, you'll notice that the lady that's reading the book to us, she has not stopped to read all of the captions and all of the extra little bits of information that are kind of fun facts that we usually take time to read in our classroom, just in the interest of time. So if you happen to have time with your learning partner now, or you want to go back and look at it later, you might want to pause the video on each page and take just a moment to read those little captions, because they always have some interesting facts on them, like on this picture here with the boy, and it really explains to you how long it takes for all of the food to go through your body.
We have now finished chapter 2. I would like you to pause the video and talk with your learning partner about what you notice about chapter 2, your food processor.
Okay, so take just a couple of moments and pause the video and fill in. She says just talk about it, but it's going to help you in the long run if you take a couple of notes. So on your notice and wonder chart, I wrote down a few things while we were listening to the book. So I added a few things to our class chart. So as usual, like your teachers keep a chart for our class, I'm going to keep a chart so that we can have it to go back and look at later when we move on to different lessons. Okay.
Pause the video now and discuss what you noticed about chapter 2. Give a thumbs up if you notice the various images that show us the different parts of the digestive system and how they work together to process food. Give me another thumbs up if you notice it takes several hours for food to process in our bodies. You have listened to pages 1 through 25 of the digestive system. While we listened to the first 25 pages, we thought about what we noticed and what we wondered. Now we are going to really focus in on what we wonder by asking questions. Now that we have read pages 1 through 25, you will prepare to write some questions you had while I was reading the text. To begin, create the graphic organizer that you see on the screen on a sheet of paper, or ask your learning helper to print this worksheet listed under the student downloads for this lesson. Please.
Okay, you don't need to print this page. If you have completed your notice and wonder chart, you will already have a whole list of wonders on here. So those will work actually for your questions. So you don't necessarily need to draw the organizer quite like they did in the video. It will work just fine as long as you have your list of wonders, because as all of your teachers have been working with you throughout this year, we've been working with you to use complete sentences for your wonders. So you've used all of those questions from the Wonder Wheel, like how and when and why, when you are writing your wonders. So you have already completed this exercise if you did a notice and wonder chart as we were reading.
Pause the video until you have either copied this on your paper or printed a copy so we can use it during the next part. When you write down what you are wondering or ask a question, it is important that we begin with question words. These are a quick reminder of the question words that we use when we begin to ask questions. Why, who, where, when, what, and how. Please make.
If you didn't use these types of words when you were writing your wonders on your chart, take just a minute and go back and pick a couple of your wonders to make sure that you add these types of questioning words to your wonders. So for example, one of my questions was, why can't you keep the gas in your stomach? Okay, or where does the bacteria in your stomach come from? Those are just a couple of examples.
And to use these questions as you begin the next task. Now that you have copied the Wonder Graphic Organizer or printed a copy, write 2 questions you have or things you are wondering based on the portion of the text we have read thus far. If you need to return to pages 1 through 25, you may go back to that portion of the lesson yourself, or do so by asking your learning partner to help you rewind that section of the lesson. Pause or replay the video to complete this task. After you have shared your questions with your learning partner, add them to your chart and then unpause the video.
Okay, so you should have had these questions already in your notice and wonder chart. You don't need to write them again if you've already got really nice questions written in your wonder chart. At the end of our lesson today, I'm going to ask you to pick one of your best questions to put it in our exit ticket for the day so that I can see what kind of questions that you all had come up while we were reading our book today. And I can add some of those to our class chart.
I wish I was able to hear your questions, but I would like to share my questions with you to see if any of them are similar or if they are different.
Okay, I'm going to stop the video there. I shared some of our questions, the questions that I came up with you. I don't want to give you too many of mine because I want you to come up with some of your own so I can see what you all were thinking about as we were reading the book today. This book, I really like it because it gives us lots of really great facts about our digestive system that you might not have known in the past. So let's see, our last little bit of our lesson today, let's just reflect on a few things that we have learned and see if you can answer these questions. So, is this book informative or literary? So hopefully you decided that this book was informative. It has lots of important facts in it, and there is not a main character or any kind of story with a problem and a solution that would make it literature. How does the digestive system use food to nourish the body? Okay, so hopefully you have developed some ideas about that for the day. What questions do you have about the digestive system? So you have hopefully come up with a few questions on your notice and wonder chart. One of those you're going to be asked to pick and put into our exit ticket today. I gave you a few of my ones that I added on, such as why can't you keep gas into your stomach, and where does bacteria come from? Hopefully you've come up with some on your own. Make sure that you are practicing your fluency each night with your reading partner. Okay, they're going to be listening to you to see if you are improving on your phrasing. So that means you're pausing in the appropriate places and during sentences to give it some emphasis on certain words. Good expression, so you're making your voice louder and softer. You're using good expression, so you might be changing the tone of your voice, to explain the mood of what you're reading. The volume, how loud your voice is or quiet your voice is, and how fast you can read. You don't want to read too fast or too slow, just right so that people can understand what you are saying. If you need it, here is the fluency passage. Otherwise, it is in your book. Okay. Last but not least, our next steps. All right, make sure that you click on the link that was sent to you so you can answer the few questions in the Google survey. Oh, this was a long lesson today. Rub your head and say, thank you, brain, for helping me to learn. And thank your learning partner for helping you. As always, if you need to reach me, thank you, parents and learning partners, for helping your scholars today. I appreciate everything you're doing to keep them moving forward. If you need to get in touch with me, here's my contact information. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening.